Welcome into Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking some scheduling stuff. And yes, Cincinnati Bengals got screwed once again by the NFL when it comes to scheduling. I think at this point, you guys all know what we're going to be talking about here on today's show, but do want to break down some of the primetime stuff, some of the Baltimore stuff on Thanksgiving, and of course, Joe Burrow's comments on the matter as well. But good news, NFL season's really right around the corner, right? I mean, a couple of months away. But regardless, if you are excited for the NFL season, show your excitement by liking today's video for me right now. Hitting that thumbs up icon really does help us out. Going for over 500 likes here on today's show. So help me out. Show some love. Like today's video for me right now. All right, so Cincinnati is going back to Baltimore in prime time, right? Obviously, that is the main issue here. Cincinnati goes to Baltimore every single year. No problems there. But fourth consecutive year, that matchup in Baltimore will be a prime-time game. And obviously, that is not ideal. Now, Mike North, who is the NFL's vice president of broadcast planning and scheduling, did have some comments that I do want to address here on today's show. He said this: "It's fair. It's not a 1 or 2 year sort of league where you fix every problem every other year or every 2 years. Once you start getting to the same thing 3 years in a row, 4 or 5 years in a row, whether it's a short week Thursday on the road or opening on the road. When trends like that emerge, we probably have to adjust at some point. It just ended up as we got down the stretch here that this was our best schedule, and fully acknowledging that, I'm sure the Bengals fans are a little surprised and probably a little disappointed, which puts them in the same category as all 31 other teams." I have my thoughts on this around the corner, but what is your one-word reaction to going to Baltimore in primetime for the fourth straight year? It is the pinned comment on today's video. Get that one-word reaction for me in the comment section right now. I get it, right? I get that, it's not going to be a perfect schedule. Every team's going to have some kind of complaint to some degree, right? But 4 in a row is ridiculous, right? That's a long time. 4 straight years you have gone to Baltimore and played a primetime game. That's a competitive disadvantage to have to do that, right? It's one thing if it's 2 years. Shoot, one thing if it's 3 years. 4 years in a row is outrageous. What can the Cincinnati Bengals do to get one of those games in Cincinnati? Now, look, let me be very clear. Joe Burrow made a comment about it, right? He kind of voiced his frustration on the matter, but they're going to show up anytime, anywhere, in play. I would be surprised if we heard Joe Burrow complain about it again. I was happy that he went out there and said, "Yeah, this is ridiculous." But once it gets close to Thanksgiving, he'll be locked in and he's not going to be complaining about it. But us as fans, we can complain about it because it's absolutely ridiculous. 4 years in a row that you have to go to Baltimore and then play in a primetime environment at their place. It's just not fair. That's reality. Maybe I'm complaining. Maybe I'm crying a little bit about it. It's just not fair. That's the way it goes. What does the NFL have against Cincinnati? That's kind of my question here, because as we'll get into as the show progresses here, this has been a reoccurring theme for Cincinnati, even with Joe Burrow, right? You got these superstars. They want to put the Bengals on primetime because they got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Great, but it's never in Cincinnati. It is always on the road. And don't give me the market size. Oh, well, Cincinnati is such a small market. True. You know what else is a really tiny market? Kansas City, right? Kansas City doesn't have any problems, playing games at home on primetime, right? Now, granted, do they have Taylor Swift's boyfriend on their team? Sure, but shoot, and they go out and win Super Bowls, fair, whatever, but it's a small market too. Not very many people in Kansas City. That's just kind of the way it goes, so I don't think the market size thing is a great reason whatsoever for that. Now, Isaiah Likely did chime in. He was on Up and Adams, Ravens tight end, of course, and he heard Joe Burrow's comments, and he had some stuff to say. He said, "I seen the little clip of Joe saying that he wants the game in Cincinnati out there on primetime. I mean, I don't even know what their stadium is called. I just know when you come to the bank in primetime television, that's just somewhere nobody else wants to be." Okay, all right. Oh, congrats, right? You guys are on a bit of a heater, right? You've won 4 games in a row against the Bengals. You're sitting up there on your high horse. That's fine. We'll see you on Thanksgiving, all right? We'll come for you. We'll take all your turkey while we're there in the process as well. The Bengals will be coming for you on Thanksgiving night. That's kind of my first little reaction to that from Isaiah Likely. But calling out the environment doesn't make any sense to me, right? Do the Bengals have the nicest stadium? No, by no means. We all know that, right? We've all been to a game. That stadium is not nice. They're working on making some improvements, allegedly. Obviously, you got some stuff going on with the county that needs to get figured out. It's not a nice stadium. Don't have any issues with that. But Every time that you're there for a primetime game, it's electric. They sell it out, everybody goes crazy. I don't think it's a bad environment necessarily is what Baltimore has. Is that cool what they're doing in Baltimore? Sure, whatever. But when you put on a primetime game in Cincinnati, the city shows out, and the place is rocking. So I really don't get that whatsoever from Isaiah Likely. But those are fighting words there. We'll see. That'll get Cincinnati fired up come Thanksgiving time. They better be ready to go because obviously the Ravens have had a neck up over Cincinnati previously, but I also think they remember that the last time they played a primetime game in Cincinnati in that wildcard game in 2023, we all know how that ended as well with Sam Hubbard racing back 99 yards for a touchdown on the road to victory. Now, if you want to sweep the Ravens in 2025, as you've gotten swept by the Ravens the past 2 seasons, show it by liking today's video for me right now. Again, going for over 500 likes here on today's show. All right, Mike North had some more comments. Again, NFL's Vice President of Broadcast Planning and Scheduling in regards to the schedule and how Cincinnati fits in. He said they deserve it. You've played your way into these windows, an MVP quality quarterback and superstar wide receivers, and we play exciting games. Both Ravens-Bengals games last year were spectacular. We wanted to make sure that we ended up with at least one of them in primetime this year. We got it. I'm sure Bengals fans would have preferred it to be in Cincinnati, but it should be fun for you guys to ruin Baltimore's Thanksgiving. One way to ensure a little extra mustard on those is to make them division games. And you see how big we went on Thanksgiving this year. When you start the day with Green Bay, Detroit, and you come back with KC, Dallas in the middle, you needed something for NBC Thursday night to kind of fit with that motif, if you will. And that's what we ended up with, Bengals and Ravens. Look, nobody's questioning the game decision, Mike. Yeah, it's going to be a great game. When these teams go at it, it's a banger seemingly every time. But obviously, we were wishing that the game would be played here in the city of Cincinnati. And look, this might be the best Thanksgiving slate of my life, right? You've always had the Lions there at that early slot, right? And for much of my life, they've stunk. Now the Lions are formidable Super Bowl contenders. You pair them up in a game with Green Bay, that's an incredible game, right? Dallas, they are, whatever, it's the Cowboys, but they're playing the Chiefs, right? So if they can hang in there and compete with Kansas City, that's going to be a great game. And obviously Baltimore, Cincinnati as well. So it really is a great game of Thanksgiving Day football from a positive sense. Just a little bit unfortunate that the Bengals have to go on the road yet again. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Are you happy the Bengals are playing on Thanksgiving? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no. Do want to end today's show with this conversation. 3 of 4 Bengals primetime games are on the road, right? Bengals currently right now have 4 primetime games, 3 of which are on the road. You played 6 primetime games last year, and 5 were on the road, setting an NFL record. That's absolutely insane. Now, is that how the schedule shook out at the very beginning of the year? No, right? That's not how things were supposed to play out. The Charger game obviously got pushed back. That was a Sunday night game on the road. What else did we have? The Steeler game at the end of the year. That was not supposed to be a primetime game. That got pushed back. And then obviously the Thursday night game that we were supposed to host a primetime game against the Browns. Browns stunk, so that kind of got flexed out as well. So wasn't the way it was supposed to be, but still, 5 of 6 primetime games on the road last year and then 3 of 4 this year. That's a little bit ridiculous. Now, I do want to make note, 3 of the last 4 games for the Bengals this year are at home. So if they're in a situation, as hopefully they are, where, well, hopefully they're not competing for a playoff spot, but hopefully they're competing for, I don't know, the number 1 seed, right, what have you. Hopefully they're playing in some big-time, meaningful games down the stretch, which will allow them to get flexed into another primetime slot. And as you can see, there are 3 of the last 4 games for the Bengals are at home, so they do have a good opportunity to get a second home primetime game. But shoot, man, I don't know why it's got to be this difficult, right? Cincinnati, the NFL wants them on primetime. They want Joe Burrow playing on primetime. Well, how about you help them out a little bit and at least 50-50 split and get half of those primetime games at home? I think the Bengals certainly deserve it at this point. Make sure you guys hit that sub button if you haven't done so already. It's youtube.com/BengalsTV. We will have you covered all throughout the offseason and all season long as well. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now.